Hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing okay. Right, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Something that I've been considering doing for a little while, and then after some requests about plant shops, where I get my plants, etc., I thought it would be a good thing to start doing. I've got some time, so we're going to make it happen. What we're going to do is, over the next sort of couple of weeks, I'm going to start reviewing a couple of plant shops. This is getting a little bit... There we go. I'm going to start reviewing a couple of plant shops. Generally, they're plant shops that I think are good in some way or another. Not all of them are. I think it's as important to talk about the issues as it is to talk about the positives, just so people know exactly what they're getting into when they go to a specific shop. I haven't seen too many of these around on the internet. There are some, obviously, but I just put together a little format that I thought was helpful based on 6 different points throughout each shop. We're going to go through all of those. Mark them out of 5, so we'll give them 5 stars as maximum. Obviously, let's say 1 star is the least possible, just so that everyone can have something. So we're talking about Nelumbogarden today. Nelumbo is a species of aquatic plants that look quite a lot like water lilies, so right from the start it tells us that their speciality is kind of in showy, beautiful aquatic plants. Basically lilies, I think, water lilies. They don't, as far as I can see, have any other aquatic plants on their website. Okay, so let's just go through the 6 points that we're going to mark them on, and then we'll go straight into it and do this. So the first one is the pricing. We're going to, relative to other shops and other plants available, how do they rank pricing wise? Are they cheap? Are they not cheap? Second is selection. So what kind of plants they have available on their website, the variety, all that kind of stuff. Communication. So once a purchase, once an order is made, how good are they at getting back to you? Shipping, packaging, self-explanatory, how fast they ship, how well they're packaged. Then we've got plant quality, so what the plant is like when it arrives, and the final one is just a general experience thing. So we're going to give them a little rank out of 5 for each of those. I'll talk you briefly through why I'm doing each of those, and then we're going to talk about a couple of plants that I ordered from them myself toward the end. So we're going to get straight into it. Just before we go, I'm going to remind you that these are like completely my opinion. I have heard some things from other people, but I wanted to make this very it's just about me. It's not about anyone else's opinions. So yeah, just to make sure that's clear. Also, they are not paying me. That will become apparent throughout, I think, but I'm not getting any money from any of these shops. This is just my opinion, of course. Right, so going for the first one, pricing. I've got the website up here. They've got relatively good prices, I would say. They're sort of generally average throughout Europe, I think, for most of these plants. For example, you get a Hoya obscura for 20 euros, which is pretty cheap, considering for like a cutting on eBay, you'd be looking at maybe like 5, 6, 7 pounds or euros. So yeah, that's pretty good pricing. Generally, I think that's true. So they've got a little area called collector items, which is for some of the more like rare aroids and stuff, just rare plants in general. And some of those are a little bit excessively priced. We'll get to that in a minute. But generally fine. So for that, we're going to give them a 4 out of 5. So 4 stars out of 5. Basically great. Couple of plants are a little bit pricey, but I think if you're trying to get a bunch of plants into your collection, it's a good place to go price-wise if you're on a bit of a budget. So the next part here is the selection. So the plants that are available on the page. Great. This is a 5-star section for sure, because just going through this page, I have it in front of me. Pull it up if you can, have a little look through. I definitely recommend going to check them out. They've got really good selection. So into all the different plants, they've got like philodendron, monstera, xanthosoma, alocasia, amaryllis, caladium, anthurium, just diverse stuff, palms, and then their collector item, calathea, caladium, etc. So there's a lot happening. They've got some beautiful inidium up at the moment, which are definitely tempting plants. They're really, really beautiful. So that's desert roses. Yeah, selection wise, 100% 5 stars out of 5. Okay, communication. So I obviously have made 2 purchases from this shop, which we're gonna talk about later. The first one is the only one that I communicated with them. I don't know who I was talking to in particular, but the communication was great. Like, I sent an email, I think the same day or the next day they replied, and it was very, very easy backward and forwards. They replied to all my questions. It was also, I was spending a relatively large amount of money, so I don't know how they would be if you were just spending like a couple, like 10, 20 pounds with them. But yeah, great communication, I would say. Really, like, that is positive. I'm gonna give them 4.5, only because I don't have the experience of communicating with them for smaller orders. Right, moving on to shipping and packaging. This is an interesting one. Both times it was good enough, as in the plants arrived in good condition, but I was very worried about the first plant, which was verrucosum, which are sort of typically a little bit fussy when it comes to the cold. I was a little bit nervous to see that it arrived just in a cardboard box, then wrapped in brown paper. There was no kind of insulation or padding around it. So I feel like it only would have taken like a night of cold for it to be gone. So that was a little bit worrying, but it was very quick. So as soon as it was dispatched, it was with me super, super fast. So that is good. I tend to be quite patient with plants. I've sort of gotten into the habit of waiting longer than I'm supposed to. There's delays, always delays happen. But with them, I've been pleasantly surprised so far. Okay, so we will give them shipping packaging. I'm going to give them a 3.5 just because that lack of packaging, that lack of padding made me a little bit nervous. But otherwise good. I'm sure you could request more. I'm sure you could request heat packs, etc. if it's still cold in your part of the world. It is not a problem here now, so for now I wouldn't be worried about that at all. Right, plant quality. Okay, so this is where we run into a little bit of an issue. Generally, I'm sure their plants are great. Both of the plants that I've ordered from them are still healthy, as in they're still alive, they're still growing. So in that sense, fantastic. However, both of the plants I ordered from them were from their collector items page, which are sort of more rare plants, not necessarily aroids, but there are quite a lot of aroids. It gets restocked relatively regularly. There's some really interesting plants up there. They've had variegated Adansonii. I'm just going to show you the plants now because this is where it gets interesting. So this first plant is the first one I ordered from them. It was over 200 euros, which is expensive for a plant. I don't spend that on things just like that. It's a big amount of money, very, very significant. And I bought a variegated verrucosum. So you might have seen it on my Instagram if you already follow me there. I'm going to post a picture of what the plant was when it arrived. It was beautiful, super exciting. It's not something I'd seen around before. It was a little bit my fault. I didn't do sort of a huge amount of research into variegated verrucosum before I bought this plant. I probably could have done a little bit more. But you know, you kind of trust these shops, and that's what I did. So I saw this thing, I was like, I'm going to snap it up because I've not seen this before. It's very, very exciting. Bought it, it arrived, like we said, great condition, and there's now no variegation left on it. There's no variegation in the stem, none of the leaves are variegated. Yeah, completely disappointed. So obviously this is not my first variegated plant. I'm very aware that variegation kind of is a little bit finicky sometimes. However, if you're going to sell a plant for a large amount of money, you need to be confident that what you're selling is going to last, because people don't buy something for 10 minutes and then for it to be something different. So this is where my issue comes with the shop. I think this is the only area where I struggle with them. I don't know who is in charge of the plants, but I've seen multiple times on their website plants which don't look healthy and which look like their variegation is coming from an unhealthy place, so some form of disease, potentially. This is all my opinion, not based on anything, just saying what I've seen. So yeah, this is the variegated verrucosum. Variegated, that is difficult to say. Obviously no variegation left, there's nothing in the stem. The variegated leaf is gone, so you can't even see that anymore. It's still a beautiful plant, but 200 euros for a verrucosum is extremely excessive, and that's not what I bought. So I'm a little bit irritated about that, but there you go. These things happen once. However, I bought a second plant from them. I enjoyed the whole of the rest of the experience, which is why I did it. So I bought a Strelitzia, a variegated Strelitzia nicolai, which is one of the bird of paradise plants with variegation. If you've seen them around on social media, you'll know that they are beautiful, and I was just so excited about it. It was a little bit under 100 euros, I think, at the time I bought it. After I bought my one, the price went up by about 40 euros. And now, and this is where my issue comes in, it was sold to me as a variegated Strelitzia. Now on the website, it says mutated Strelitzia, and the price is down to 14 euro. So something is happening there. And no one has contacted me about a refund or anything. I could have contacted them, but I don't really feel like that's my place. I could do it, probably will now. But yeah, so this is the Strelitzia. You can see, I showed this in a video, I think a little while ago. Very, very excited about it at the time. You can see it's got some form of variegation on the leaf there. Who knows where that's from? The next leaf has no variegation at all. When that came out, I kind of just thought, you know, it might skip, it might be running down one side of the stem or in the base. I don't know how it works, particularly with the Strelitzia. But I am now, since seeing the alteration on their post, pretty convinced that this is just sort of a one-off thing. And that, I think, is very strange to do as a shop, and it's very disrespectful to your customers. So I would be cautious doing that, just because it will catch up with you eventually. So along this same line, I have been going back since buying these onto their website relatively regularly, just to kind of check in with what's there, see what's being updated. And I've seen more plants that are a little bit dodge. So let's just talk about those for a second. The first one that I saw is Variegated Florida Beauty. So we all know what that looks like. If not, I'm going to put a picture of what it looks like. And then I'm going to put a picture, if I can find it, of the juvenile form. And now we're going to look at the picture that they put up. So this, in my opinion, is just a sick plant. And they were selling it for almost 200 euros. And this is the problem. So for this section, even though I'm sure some of the plants that they're selling are great, even though they're still healthy, I'm going to give them a 1 out of 5. Only because in my 2 experiences shopping with them, the plants that I bought have not been the plants that were advertised, if that makes sense. So this is not great. So general experience, I would say that it was pretty good with a bit of a sour aftertaste. So up until receiving the plants, it was great, and then from there it's been a little bit downhill. I wouldn't say don't buy from them. I think they're probably a great shop. I think it's great to support these businesses at this time in particular. However, maybe take your time before you order things, maybe check in with the seller, maybe just ask around with your friends, make sure that everything's good before you go and spend a significant amount of money. I probably would have saved myself a bit of money if I'd done that beforehand, so that is a lesson learned on my part. General experience, let's give them, just given that 1 star, I'm going to give them a 2.5 out of 5. So yeah, generally, overall, great shop. If you want to buy like a caladium or a big old Hoya, or I'm just scrolling down seeing what else they've got, let's see. Let's check out their collector items today. They've got some nice, like I said, those adenium. Oh, there's the mutated Strelitzia. But then they've got some nice alocasia. They've got beautiful alocasia that you don't see in most other places. They've got a lovely Dieffenbachia tiki, which is super beautiful. Monstera pinnatipatita, I always struggle saying that. So yeah, there are definitely some great plants there. Check them out if you're interested. And yeah, that's the end of this first review. I'm going to do this again. I've got a good old list of shops to go through, most of them really, really good experiences. I'm excited to share some of my favourite ones because, yeah, that's what this is all about basically. But I thought we'd start on a slightly, not controversial, but a slightly different note. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for shops that I can review, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to buy plants from them. It's just an excuse, isn't it? And I will see you very soon. If you want to see updates on my plants, including these 2 lovely variegated plants, yay! Go check out my Instagram, I'll stick it right here, @slugplants. Subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!